Welcome to Sister Scoop, where we're coming at you with the big Marvel news, of the week. And this was a weird week. There was a lot going on this week. We're gonna have three topics, but we're gonna start with just a really big one to just kind of talk about briefly, and that is Disney kind of did a whole bunch of firings, which are going to directly affect Marvel. We don't yet know how. Really, we can only keep you updated as we find more things out later on, but big news dropped literally yesterday.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of the visual effects team was affected, which I mean, we've been pretty critical on some of the visual effects and a lot of that hasn't been because they're not great artists. It's because they're stretched so thin, they're working on such tight deadlines. So now you're gutting that team. Reading up on it a little bit more, it sounds like they're going to move from a full-time employee model to working with contractors. So it's not like they're just going to have zero, or very few people working on it. It's just going to be they're going to work with contractors, which makes me feel a little bit better. But it is concerning that they were like, this is where we feel like we can cut.
Yeah, I agree. And again, we'll kind of just see how that kind of pans out, unfortunately, which is not really what we want to be talking about as we move into the Doomsday Secret Wars era and then eventually the mutants. That's not my favorite news, but that's okay. We're going to move forward. On a much lighter note, we have, Mike Coulter out here just literally spoiling not even just Daredevil season 3. He's spoiling possibly Brand New Day. He is just on it. He's on something right now.
I actually, so many people are comparing him to Tom Holland, Mark Ruffalo. He's up there, I think, in our top 3 spoiler kings category. I mean, if you didn't see it, I do believe the post has been taken down, but he posted on his Instagram, just shots now that obviously he had been seen on set, so it wasn't really a secret that he's going to be in season 3. And one of the shots has Charlie Cox very clearly in the orange jumpsuit that he's in jail. And now a lot of people had been speculating this because he's been doing a lot of the season 2 press while having a full beard. People are like, that's kind of weird. We'll link below a really great video that kind of talks about what this could mean. And this was even before Mike Coulter's most recent post. But to Katie's point, it kind of confirms or gets as close to confirming as possible those theories, Devil in Cell Block D for potentially season 3, and then also why we might be seeing Spider-Man in jail in Brand New Day. So Mike Coulter with a wallop of a spoiler on the IG. I've seen people online being like, is his phone gone yet? Have they taken his phone? Because man has lost posting privileges.
Well, the best part for me is he's been officially in the MCU for a day.
I know.
He was obviously, he's been a part of the Netflix series and stuff, but officially in the MCU, brought over, coming back, whatever. And my guy is just out here sharing everything. Absolutely everything. So we love him. I think it's so funny. We literally just talked about last week how we were like, super kind of sucks that we're getting these set photos because, it's spoiling stuff. Then Mike's out here just
you want set photos? Here's BTS.
Here's this. You want this instead? Okay. And I think it's hilarious. So unfortunately, to some degree, we are getting things that maybe are spoiling some things, but at the same time, I think it's a hilarious situation.
I think it's so funny. And I know he's going to get in so much trouble if he does it again, but consistency's key, Mike. Come on, keep feeding us.
Keep doing it. All right, moving on to some X-Men news, because at this point I feel like we can't really go an episode of Sister Scoop without some sort of X-Men news. We have some more casting rumors coming out of the X-Men universe.
Yes. So the two kind of more new ones are Odessa. I'm going to butcher her name and I'm so sorry. Azion as
I think
Rogue.
it's Azion.
I honestly have not seen anything that she's been in. I know she's been, on all the red carpets, but I've only seen stills and not people actually pronouncing her name. So I'm so sorry if I butchered that. But if you do recognize the name, even though, you might not the way I said it, She is from I Love LA and Marty Supreme are kind of the two projects that I most recognize in her IMDb. The second then being Peter Claffey as Beast. If you are recognizing his face or name, he was recently in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which is of course in the Game of Thrones universe on HBO. So I actually really like both of these options. I've never seen either of them in anything, but just from sheer looks, I think they absolutely nailed it. So I'm excited just even from like a page to screen visual adaptation perspective.
Yeah, and just to add, because I'm actually not sure, because you were talking about her name, which Odessa's being looked at for Rogue.
Sorry, so yes, that would be helpful context.
That would be helpful context. She is being looked at for Rogue. Now, we all know how I feel about Rogue and Gambit specifically, so I'm going to be very picky with these castings, especially those two. I have seen some of the things she's in. She's also a Nepo baby, so I knew, like...
Oh, really? Who were her parents?
Her mom's a famous voice actress. She's been like in other things that actually like she acts in, but I know she does a lot of voice acting. But I've been down like a really weird. It's because like who was she rumored to be dating? Oh, Drew Starkey from Outer Banks. So then it just became like a whole. I just went down a rabbit hole of Odessa. Anyway, so I know about her. I've seen things she's in. I'm gonna be very picky with this casting. So I'm not sure yet. I haven't really felt like I've seen her in anything yet that would kind of show how she could be as Rogue fully. So we'll see. But the big thing I want to talk about regarding these two is the age, because that has kind of been a big topic for us every time we get a possible rumor, because honestly, we don't know what direction they're going to go. Obviously, the previous X-Men movies had them all older. So far, a lot of the rumors, because these are not the only ones, there have been a couple others that have been kind of sporadically popping up. They've all been younger. They've definitely been in their like seemingly 20s, maybe early 30s at most, but looking younger. So if that holds true, we are going that younger direction, which I think is exciting.
I do too. I think it makes it easier to do longer term storytelling. Because if you think about even, Chris Evans is a great example. I believe he was in his late 20s when he was first cast as Cap.
Look at Sebastian. Sebastian was a baby.
Right. And like they've been able, Chris is coming back. They've been able to be in the MCU for 15 years without really changing a ton, and Sebastian could go probably another 10, even just physically being able to do that. Not everybody's a Hugh Jackman who can do that into their like 50s and 60s. So if you go younger and you start younger, you can, one, tell stories of them coming of age, which I think is important in X-Men storytelling, but two, 100%. Then keep the same, actors in the same roles for much longer without it being a little bit of a stretch to try to tell certain stories with them when they're very clearly, aging out of them.
100%. I think that's kind of been when we've talked about this, that's kind of been the main topic of how long can we hold on to them? Let's say it's only 10 years. Fine. Like that's our minimum. It's still 10 years and you do see them age throughout the roles. You see, look at Tom Hiddleston, like all of them.
Tom Holland, and he was a baby.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like you could very much see that these actors and actresses age throughout their roles. And so even at a 10-year minimum, like if you're starting with people already in their mid to late 30s, even 40s, like you're already right on the cusp of 50 for some of these people by the time it'd be ending. So I think we've both agreed we're definitely inclined to the younger side. That's not to say that plenty of these stories that, are a little bit more hefty can't be told still with a younger cast. Your mid-20s, late 20s, even early 30s. I think there's still plenty of stories that can be told that way as well. So I think it's exciting. We'll see though, because this has been a conversation for like a year and a half. But, and I know this is Taylor's favorite topic, we finally got a look at Beyond the Spiderverse, even though we're still not getting it until next year.
I don't want to talk about how many days are left because it's still over a year, and like that actually makes me want to curl into a ball and just like never leave the ball and just like sit in a dark room and cry. That's pretty much where we are. But Sony was talking or had a panel at CinemaCon where they released some of this information, and basically we got a few stills from the film. I mean, look, it's there, and those were what was released publicly. Those who were in, I don't know if it's a panel or the presentation or whatever you want to call it, I believe actually saw some of the film and saw some footage. That obviously has not been released to the public yet. But what we have seen, like I said, are those 4 stills. Looks beautiful. I'm excited. I think anything that we can get that's like showing progress at this stage makes me so happy. The last movie came out in, what was it, 2023, I want to say. So, and it was supposed to come out the next year. It's been delayed by multiple years. So for me, honestly, beyond just even the imagery, which as usual is gorgeous, it's just the progress for me that's like, okay, I feel good about this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, us just getting any kind of news was shocking. Mainly because it has been a project that unfortunately we were expecting within a year, and then it just got pushed back. And then I do remember when they dropped that they were going to, it wouldn't be out till 2027. And I think it was, I remember. And I think it was either very late 2024 or early 2025 that they shared that, because I remember us having that conversation just being like, that is just crazy. Like, I don't know what happened when you went from expecting a movie to be ready for release a year after the previous one, and now we're talking 3-4 years later. So I do think it lost a lot of momentum. It's nice to be able to see, to your point, there's progress on it. They have something put together. It doesn't seem like we'll push back the 2027 date. All exciting as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully we keep getting a couple more nuggets of it as we get closer. Obviously, there's a lot of, on the other side, Marvel-related projects that'll be dropping in that time frame. So plenty to keep us fed. But it is nice that we're actually, still getting this movie. And it does sound like we're still getting it next year.
Thank the Lord. Because if it gets pushed again, like, I don't
even know.
I will combust. Like, I actually think that I will cease to exist from sheer disappointment.
Yeah, it would be rough.
That's not an over dramatization. Like, that's not hyperbole. My very existence is hinging on this movie coming out next year. That's where we are.
It would be rough. I'll give you that. I will. All right, friends, that has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are joining us again next week as we cover 3 more Marvel news topics. And of course, on the podcast side, right now, it is Daredevil season. So make sure you guys are catching us on that side, as well as we review all the Daredevil episodes as they come out. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.